Hello everyone, and welcome to my The Last of Us channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. In The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3, Ellie and Dina make the long journey from Jackson, Wyoming to Seattle, Washington. After an action-packed second episode, the third episode of the critically acclaimed HBO show jumps 3 months ahead and shows how the characters are coping with the death of Joel. After being injured by Manny, a member of Abby's group, in the previous episode, Ellie finally gets let out of the hospital in The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3. Clearly, Ellie wants revenge against Abby and her group. However, Jackson's council votes not to send a group of people to Seattle. Obviously, the vote's result doesn't stop Ellie. At the end of The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3, Ellie and Dina leave Jackson and start making their way to Seattle. Surprisingly, not much of this journey is actually shown, and the two of them arrive in Seattle by the end of the episode. Therefore, how long did it actually take Ellie and Dina to get to Seattle in The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3? Only one montage is dedicated to Ellie and Dina's journey from Jackson, Wyoming to Seattle, Washington in The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3. This makes it seem like it wasn't a long trip for the two characters. However, in reality, there is about 860 miles between Jackson and Seattle. Jackson is much closer to the central United States, while Seattle is close to the Pacific Ocean. Therefore, this definitely was not an easy journey for Ellie and Dina, especially when considering the post-apocalyptic world of The Last of Us. Thankfully, Dina plans ahead and figures out everything they will need while on their journey. Other than just weapons, which is what Ellie is initially purely focused on, Dina brings things like medical supplies, proper clothing, etc. Ellie can be quite a spontaneous character in The Last of Us, which is why it is good that Dina also embarks on this long journey with her. However, since Seattle is so far away from Jackson, it will be hard for other characters, such as Tommy, to catch up to them in The Last of Us Season 2. The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3, Tommy supports Ellie's desire to go to Seattle. However, after Jackson's council votes no, he doesn't have much power or sway to change their minds. He will likely continue to be an important character in Season 2, but it will take him a while to reunite with Ellie since she and Dina have already made it to Seattle. The montage at the end of The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3 shows Ellie and Dina's travels from Jackson to Seattle, but it made the trip seem very quick. For example, Ellie and Dina are only shown going to bed one night while on their journey from Jackson to Seattle in The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3. Then, by the end of the episode, the highway sign indicates that they are 9 miles out from Seattle. The way this montage was edited suggests that this journey only takes them one day, which is definitely not the case. In reality, this would have been a very long trip for Ellie and Dina. According to Google Maps, the trip from Jackson to Seattle takes about 13 hours by car, 3 days by bike, and 13 days on foot. In The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3, Ellie and Dina make this trip on horseback. Obviously, Google Maps doesn't estimate how long the trip would take on a horse. However, it would likely be somewhere between the time it would take on a bike and on foot. When figuring out how long this journey actually took them, it also needs to be considered that most of this trip wouldn't have been on normal roads. Dina mentions that they would need to cut through Yellowstone National Park, so a lot of their trip was probably on tough terrain. Additionally, they would also need to stop to eat and rest. When considering all of this, Ellie and Dina's journey on horseback from Jackson to Seattle likely takes them just over a week, possibly 8 or 9 days, in The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3. So, what do you guys think about this update? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my videos, please press like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.